What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? So this is the number two video that I'm making. And the number two video is about my journey to Christ. I think that it's important for people to know your background and I'm going to share that and I ain't gonna say just your background, but uh it's good for people to know like how it all started and then go through it all to the end point or whatever because your background it impacts you or whatever. So uh to be exact, I was born in 1985 uh in Columbus, Georgia. So if you're from Columbus, Georgia, I was mostly raised on the east side, off of Forest Road and East Urban Heights. But in the beginning, my mom, she stayed on the south side off of Casita Road, and my mom, she's not, like the perfect save lady. She used to party and stuff like that. She real big at partying and having fun. She's still that way now. But I show some pictures, what it used to look like back in the days, but I remember, being young and, being a part of those parties, drinking and, all that. But it was all love. It wasn't no like I didn't feel I didn't feel like I was in a dangerous environment. It was just, a bunch of people just having fun and whatever it is or whatever. But it wasn't no like real. I don't remember no violence or anything. Like I said, I don't remember, nothing dangerous, but I seen a lot of stuff though. I can tell you that. A lot of stuff that I remember. And yeah, so we that's how it started, and like I said, we end up moving to the east side of Columbus. And I was, basically just like a kid in a single parent home. It was just me and my mom. I have an older brother that's like about 13 or 14 years older than me. So he was in and out of the house or whatever. And like I said, we wasn't no like the typical Christian family where you go to church and my mom was strict and stuff like that. No, my mom was a mom who allowed a lot or whatever, and she worked a lot. And my brother, he was out in the streets, so I used to be out in the streets because like I said, mama was working, so we didn't have that discipline in the household. But I was close. I had a big family as far as like I knew my grandma and my granddad. They played a big part of my life because when your mom works a lot, you have to go to your grandparents' house. At the time when I was born, or at the time when I can remember going to my grandma's house, my grandma and my granddad was separate. All right, but I still spent time with both of them. My grandma, she was, the typical grandmother, like, you hear back in the days where she read the Bible. I remember, always seeing her read the Bible. She go in her room, she had a little lamp post sitting on her nightstand, and she'll be in there reading. I remember seeing her on her knees praying a lot. She was very quiet, nice woman who showed lots of love. She was always cooking us food, all just very nice, very like I love my grandma. My granddad, he was a hard worker. I remember, he worked on cars. I seen him, in the junkyards and stuff like that. He was always doing something. And he was very supportive. My granddad always showed up to my uh baseball games. I I don't know if he showed. I did karate back in the days. I don't know if he showed up to that, but he always was supportive. They was church going people. My granddad was definitely a church going. Like that's what I known him for. He was always dressing up in suits. Uh, he used to go to church all the time. He was the first man. that put me in a suit that I can remember. He put me in a suit on Easter Sunday. Like he took me to a man store. If you from Columbus, Looking Good. I think it was Looking Good back then. And ENS, that's where it was. ENS. He also took me there and he bought me a suit, blue suit. I showed a picture. And I can remember that, because I was like, wow, I'm wearing a suit. He's showing me the little gold little clips and stuff like that. So, he was, to me, that was love. Um, he was that man that stepped in that I looked at, and I respected. And you hear the same thing throughout the family. Everybody, that was our glue, or our influence was my grandma and my granddad. So my aunties and uncles, they was all the same. They was very loving. Just like my grandparents was. They was, spread it all out. But for the most part, I know that my family believed in God. Uh, it was always about love. It wasn't really too preachy, about scriptures. I don't remember hearing scriptures and stuff like that, but it was all laughing and fun and, helping one another. It was like a family environment. Like I said, I remember my grandma reading the Bible, but I don't remember her talking about scriptures as much. I remember her praying a lot. But like I said, for the most part, my family was about love and coming together. We always come together for Thanksgiving to my grandma's house, and always come together for Easter and Christmas and stuff like that. So that's kind of like how I grew up. That was my background. But the other side was I was in the streets because, like I said, my mom worked, so she wasn't at home, and I ain't like being at home by myself when I was at home by myself. So I tend to, be out in the streets. And like I said, my brother was out there, so I was out there or whatever. So in the streets, it wasn't that, it wasn't, all that stuff. It was, it was some, some of that, I played and had fun. I had a bunch of friends and stuff like that, and we did a lot. But it's still things like drug addicts and stuff that you see that you don't normally see like that in the family household. And sometimes, I ain't gonna, make it seem like my family was perfect. It was some other things that I done seen, because like I said, we had a huge family. But I'm just saying, like, for the most part, I can remember that was, that was there. Even though there was other stuff that was there, it's still that love was there, that family environment, because of my grandma, for I believe because of my grandma and my granddad, their influences, helped a whole lot. Um, but I think around like 1996 is when I started actually like really going to church. That's when like our church started to get bigger as far as with the youth. I started to get more involved. I say that because we went to church every once in a while, but I really started getting involved when the youth group started to grow. And that was when Kurt Franklin and all them was out, and we had the choirs and stuff that they were singing all those songs, and it made it intriguing because it wasn't like the old hymn songs where you be singing and stuff like the old hymns, but it was like Kurt Franklin stomp and all that made you, stuff you hear on the radio that made you want to be involved or whatever. So I do remember those times, but I don't remember like still like being influenced by the church. I will say I had moments where I felt probably like church hurt, where I was judged, because of, when you coming from the streets and having that hip hop type of attitude, I might have the overalls with the one strap off or whatever, and a older person in the church might look at me a certain type of way, like I knew the difference between love and that type of look, like it disgusted and all that stuff. So I felt that, I could feel some of that in the church where I was like judged or looked at a certain type of way or whatever. So I kind of like I was, I ain't feel like I belonged there. I felt accepted in the streets because, of the hip hop, vibe. Everybody was into it or whatever, but I ain't really feel it too much in the church. Uh but like I said, when I was going to church, it wasn't like I was like influenced where I just remember, reading and stuff like that. But I remember, it's I had some points where, like we had a pastor, Pastor Blue. A lot of people know, Pastor Blue because he's still a pastor, a bishop, I think, in Columbus, Georgia. And, I liked him, because I felt like he said some things that related to where I could understand. Because I remember I can't remember exactly the situation, but I remember him saying, that's not your baby daddy." And for those who grew up in those days in the 1990s, there was a song called That's Not Your Baby Daddy." And when he said that, it made me want to listen because all the other stuff he was talking about I ain't understand. But when he said that, it made me my ears open a little bit more. I felt like he was trying to relate, you know, to my generation, and that made me more open to wanting to hear what he had to say. And there were some things that he used to say that really stuck with me. I remember hearing every time when he called people up, or he do the I forgot what they call it. When they open up the altar for people to come in and they be prayed on, or they want to commit themselves to God. He'd be like, I can walk with you but I can't walk for you, stuff like that. I used to always like listen, and what I mean, well, he was repetitive with that, so it always stuck with me. But like I said, with him I just felt like I was a little bit more open to listening to the things that he was saying or whatever. But 2003 uh is when I first opened up the Bible and read it for myself. Like I said, in church, I don't remember. I remember probably opening it up, but it really didn't hit like as far as me opening it up for myself. It didn't happen until 2003. That was the first time that I actually took the time to open up the Bible, and I had it in my heart to read it and see what was going on. That was the first time. Then and that's I felt like that's when my relationship with God started. At that point. Because now I'm open and I'm trying and I'm or whatever. But fast forward, 2012, because you don't you start off good and then you end up getting swallowed up. Like I said, I was in the street, so naturally I would go right back. But what happened was in 2003 is when I uh went into the Marine Corps. For those trying to get to know me more, I had went into the Marine Corps, and in boot camp, that's when I opened it up because you already know, like, it always take for some situation that you going through to make you decide to get closer to God. And I promise you, if you're not ready for a boot camp experience, it will make you open up that Bible because, like I said, I ain't know what was going on, and I felt lost, and I had to open up that Bible, so I opened it up. Uh, but like I said, in 2012, time passed. I kind of like was on my own, and more things was happening and stuff like that, and once again, you get yourself into situations to where you now you want to consider, God, or you like, man, I need to make a change. And that's what happened for me. It was a number of events that happened, so I won't go into detail, but I'll explain more. This is just uh, a rough draft of me getting to Christ, but I'll explain more in other videos. But yeah, 2012 is when I decided to take my situation or my spirituality or my walk serious. It's not actually, I won't say that I came to Christ, but I was going through my spiritual journey where I was open to listening to what other people had to say. So I was getting to different religions and stuff like that, to where I was trying to figure it on out. Who is God? That's the goal, is who is God? What is God? What is other people talking about? So 2012 happened. Um I was reading and just trying to figure things out. I had ended up going through a divorce, and that took me down a turn. And 2016 is when I actually committed myself to Christ. I'ma go deeper into that on a whole nother video, because that's a story of its own. But uh my whole point in this video is to show that it was a journey. It was a journey. A lot of people get mad because it may took a long time. But I mean, that's just how it is, man. I'm still working on myself. It's still a lot of things that I need to be working on, and need, that I'm not doing good at. And that's just part of it. And I used to beat myself up on it. I used to be like, man, I opened up the Bible in 2003, and then I'm just now, you know, reading it again in 2012, and then 2016, I'm just now, submitting myself to it. Like, I was kind of like embarrassed back in the days about it, but ain't, to anybody that's still searching, you probably ain't even submitted yourself to Christ, man. God is not, trying to weigh you down on that. Like, that's the devil, man. Like, God is an understanding God. God knows that, you are entangled with a lot of mess, and it's gonna take time to actually get you to where you need to get, you know. And yeah, we stubborn. There's a lot of things about us, and God knows that. God knows about all that stuff, and that's the reason why He know that it's gonna take time. That's why it says He's a long sufferer. You know what I mean? Because He know, what I mean. He's willing to take that time to get you to a place where you have understanding, and you're walking in the right path or whatever. So don't beat yourself up on it. It takes time. Uh, don't think that because of what you're in right now, you'll never get there. Like, that's not true. Just keep going, keep focusing. Keep fighting. Because it may take you time. Like I said, I 2003, and you can go back further than that. I was, I done been to a church. Because sometimes you might think it be people that ain't never been in church at all, and then they first time ever going to church, they on fire, and they walking with God. But it's like, for you might look at it like, man, I grew up in the church, or I've been to church 20 years ago, and I'm just now, like, don't worry about that, man. It takes time. So I hope that by me sharing this with you, that it encourage you to keep going forward, because you see that, even though it took me a while to get where I need to get, God is still with me. Um, God didn't just throw me away. Um, but I'm still here in the faith of that, standing here because you might not know, my relationship all the way because this is my second video, but I'm sitting here before you telling you that, I know that God is with me. Like I know it for a fact, and uh, you can be the judge when I put all these videos out and share everything with you, you know. So like I said, this is the second video. But this was my journey. This was my journey to Christ from 1985 to 2016. Now it's 2024. I'm just now starting to get out and you know uh start sharing my story and stuff like that because I still haven't really been sharing it like that. I've been doing it with individual people, but I haven't been sharing it across the mass like what I'm doing now on YouTube, and I do my audio on a podcast or whatever. So for those hearing, like I said, I hope you're encouraged, and thanks for watching. Stay blessed.